Phantom of the Paradise. That's right, folks. We're talking a weird movie today on Movie Tales. Oh, I had such a blast with this one. This is a De Palma that's early in his career. This movie's 50 years old now. That's crazy to think about. It's one I haven't seen. It's been on my list for literal years because I'm like, this seems straight up my alley. Rock and roll Phantom of the Opera. Are you freaking kidding me? That is just my vibe. I love Phantom of the Opera. I love the idea of just a rock and roll movie, like that era where we're like moving away from like the teen comedies and the beach movies. And it's like, what if we just had people on a stage dancing to cool music and singing interesting songs? I love that shit. And De Palma is such a weird director. He's another one of those kind of like film school era kids. He's a little bit older than some of them. But he's just like, weird movie time. I'll make some weird stuff. And he's great. I love De Palma. So this one, I didn't know what to expect. I knew I was going to enjoy it. Didn't think I was going to fall in love with it as much as I did because, man, this is cool. It starts off as one thing, switches into another thing altogether, and then by the end it's about bargaining with the devil for your soul. And I'm like, hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. I love a good bargaining with the devil story. That's awesome. So this movie opens up, right? We're at like some cool dance club. We're watching the events of Swan. He's this famed producer across the globe, and he releases some cool records. He's got this band called the Juicy Fruits, and they're playing tonight at this big club, and we open up the movie, everyone's dancing, they're pretending to get high on some big, weed, whatever you want to call it, just a big blunt on stage. It's hilarious. They're singing a Cash song, grabbing people, throwing people out, getting into fights for no reason while they're on stage. It's funny, but it's like this Technicolor wonder. There's so many vibrant colors on the stage and flashing lights, and everyone's just in these like beautiful colors. It looks amazing. It looks fantastic. And you're like, oh, so Swan's going to be our main character, right? No, our main character is this man named Winslow Leach. He is this songwriter who, after the Juicy Fruits play, he climbs onto the stage with his piano and starts playing his famed masterpiece. He is writing, is it a cantata? A cantata? About Faust, one of the people that made a deal with the devil. And that's just the story going forward. And that's probably why Swan wants him to play at the opening of Paradise. Paradise is going to be this big club that Swan opens, and it's like a Xanadu Disneyland thing where it's like Studio 54, the big vibe where everything is always happening, right? And Winslow his songs are going to be played there. And Winslow is so interesting. This guy, William Finley, he just looks like a little dirty rat boy. Just like big glasses, scrummy hair, just this little freak who's like, there's nothing sexy or appealing about this guy, but his confidence in the way he presents himself is kind of endearing, so you like him for that. Well, Swan's like, okay, we got to get his music. So he steals his music and then completely ignores everything about Winslow as the story progresses. And as everything starts to keep going on with the story, we see the escalating that, Winslow's going to go to Swan's production house. He's going to try to get a meeting with him. Can't do it. Sneaks to his house. Sees that he's auditioning a bunch of girls to play the cantata that he wrote. And you're like, hey, I'm Winslow. I wrote this. Why hasn't anybody let me play it? Why am I not allowed to sing it? Turns into him getting framed for drug possession. He gets arrested, breaks out of prison when he hears that the Paradise is opening with his cantata, and then he goes on a rampage to all of Swan's locations. He gets shot by a police officer. Everyone thinks he drowns in the river. He accidentally burns his face. He burns his face in it's a record press where you like actually condense like the record to make the sound. He burns his face in that, gets shot, falls into the river, and then he becomes the Phantom of the Paradise, literally dressed up like a stage production creature with a big freaking, Gatchaman helmet, and it's crazy. It's great. Like, that is so freaking cool. And then it's just Phantom for a bit. We're going to do the Phantom story, and it's crazy, man. It is crazy. And it's De Palma in like the early aughts of his career. So this dude's going to make the most insane thing ever. De Palma in this era in particular has such a unique style where it's just shaky cam, handheld, POV footage, just going all over the place. But he's also like, I'm going to make you feel uncomfortable. We have big bombastic sets, big colorful sets, and everything's intense. We're going to have distinctive shots where people are staring at the camera lens, looking you directly in the eye. We're going to use so many mirrors, and everything is just going to be like a reflection of a reflection. You're never going to know where anything is. Just cameras in every corner of a room. You're going to feel like it's so voyeuristic and everyone's watching everybody. And it's such a cool feeling. To describe this feeling does not do it justice. Long takes of following someone down a hallway, just running with a camera in our hand, just moving secret doors and opening things. Everybody's looking at the camera. But because Winslow got shot, his voice is kind of destroyed too. So he's just haunting everybody. And if anybody besides the woman that he loves plays his cantata, he is going to kill them. He's going to kill them. He likes this girl named Phoenix. She sings with him earlier when they're doing the auditions. He starts to write everything specifically for her. She's the only person that gets to sing his songs, that gets to play his music. But Swan won't have that. And by the way, Swan is crazy. This guy has a Dr. Zayas haircut. He's dressed like he's from ABBA. And he just walks around in command of everything like a little freaky boy. Paul Williams plays him. Awesome. Just the most insane person you've ever seen do anything ever. It's truly amazing. But eventually, because he's got cameras everywhere, because it's a voyeuristic movie, we see that Swan finds out that Winslow is alive and he captures him in the basement. He's like, I will literally let you write all of this, but I am going to pick every single person that is going to sing the songs. Okay? Okay? And he signs a deal with Swan using his blood, because what other choice does he have? It's all about making deals with the devil. You're going to be trapped in here forever. You cannot escape. No matter your consequence, you are trapped in this place. That's what this movie is. It's crazy. But I love just like the basement that they got Winslow in. It's just circuit boards and wires surrounding him 360, and just the depth of field stuff, and just showing you like everything's like a elongated hallway and everything's just so weirdly framed. It feels so awesome. And it looks so awesome. So we have a couple of auditions to figure out who's going to sing the cantata. And we settle on this man named Beef. And Beef is like this cool rock and roll movie star. Just the coolest guy ever. He just shows up. He's screaming. It is it's just so... It's so Kiss, if that makes sense. And it's just that kind of like glamour era of rock and roll where everyone's loud, everyone's a little bit fruity, and everything just kind of like works perfectly. Right? So Beef gets on stage and he's like, okay, this is how we're going to play this song. You got it. I'm all for this shit. And then when he goes later to have a shower because he's done, the Phantom shows up. He's like, you do not get to sing my songs. Only Phoenix gets to sing my songs. And Beef's like, okay, I'm out. So he tries to leave. He gets stopped by Swan's bouncer, Philbin. I think it's Philbin, actually. So we have to go actually perform, and Beef gets electrocuted on stage when, like, I think he throws a lightning bolt at him, and it shocks, like, the, like, microphone that he's using, and it kills him. Beef dies on stage performing, and the consequences to the actions happen in that moment. And I'm like, yes, they do. Yes, they do. It's so cool. It looks amazing. And we have an actual stage. Like, we have filled this place to the brim with extras. Just listening to this concert. We have so many people on stage. And then suddenly we just have this handheld camera just running about everywhere. There are a few times in this movie where De Palma was like, we're going to show you two shots at once. We're going to go side by side. We're going to split the screen. We're going to follow one perspective. We're going to follow another perspective, just of people on stage doing their thing on stage. We're going to cut to Swan occasionally in the one lens, but we're going to follow what the car is because the Phantom put a bomb in the car. And you're like, what? It's insane. And one of the guys from the Juicy Fruits is like, I got a bad vibe about this. I need to go. And it's so funny. And that like emulates another line from Beef, like right before he dies, when he's talking to Philbin, and he's like, can't you feel the own vibe in your house? Can't you feel the vibe of your own house or something like that? You're like, yeah, there is something off here. There's literally a guy haunting this place, but he sold his soul to the devil. and because of his killing of beef, it means Phoenix gets to become the primary singer at the Paradise, and she becomes an instant hit, which is everything that Winslow doesn't want, because now she's going to sign her soul away to the devil, which is Swan. And he's like, you can't do that. And she's like, why should I trust you? The entire time, it is the Phantom thing where we're hiding Winslow's face. So we don't actually see it until the very end. But she sees the grotesque person underneath, and she freaks out and runs to Swan. And she is going to sign her life away to Swan. And we get an insanely cool moment. I love this moment where Swan and Phoenix are in like the weird sex bed. She's all over kissing him, covered in feathers. And we see Winslow's on the rooftop looking down, and Swan is looking at Winslow through a security camera he has pointed at Winslow, pointed at him. And I'm like, everyone's looking at everybody. It's truly amazing. And then Winslow's like, I'm going to lose. I can't do this. So he tries to kill himself, but he can't, because he can't die as long as Swan is alive, because Swan made a deal with the devil to stay young forever. So now he signed a contract with Winslow, and he's going to try to sign one with Phoenix. So when they get married on stage the next day, he's going to kill her, and it's going to like just keep him immortal. And it's insane. It is insane. At first, you're like, yes, this is a revenge story about this guy trying to take down this evil music producer who stole his songs. And you're like, that makes so much sense to me. He's going to dress like he's from an anime. He's going to run on stage and just kill people sometimes. And then it's like, actually, the devil corrupted a lot of souls here. We're trying to keep people from being murdered and killed. And you're like, what is going on? And all the while, beautiful music. Like, they actually make songs about Faust, so it sounds like someone had like a real idea put into there. And everyone's dressed so beautifully. Like, I love so many of the sequences with just like the people in these insane clothing. Everyone's dressed like a punker, a rocker, just this intense look about them. There is a sequence where like a bunch of ladies are on Swan's bed. They're all dressed differently. And I'm like, this is so beautiful to look at, because everything is just like these black faded backgrounds. So we're just focused on this one thing. There's trapdoors and hidden spots and throughout the entire place. And it's just like this vibrant Technicolor wonder of like a man creeping into madness. It looks so specific and weird and like something you've never seen before. So like the entire layout is insane. It's also like a whimsical farce. So like everything's taken so literally, like extra stage door, real stage door. It's written on doors and stuff. You're like, this is crazy. But, you know, Winslow jumps onto the stage to attack Swan before he marries Phoenix, and then he kills him by stabbing him with like the headpiece of one of the dancers on stage. Subtle innuendo all over the place. I shouldn't even say subtle. It's not subtle. I will say the least subtle thing about the innuendo is like the dancers on the stage for the last musical act, where they have how do I put this? They're not wearing a lot of clothes, so it's like lingerie, but it's this big fluffy mound of hair covering a woman's special area. And you're like, okay, De Palma, I get it. So we stab Swan with one of those. The act hurts Winslow because they are intrinsically connected. Winslow cannot die until Swan dies, and then it just becomes like this metaphor for like the audience and rockers like killing somebody because they're like, that's how visceral it is. We love violence on TV and sex in movies, you know? We love that shit. So then the audience starts killing Swan, and it just leads to Winslow crawling away like, I can survive this as long as Phoenix is alive. I'll be okay. And we see his grotesque face, and it's just the best. Just a practical effect of some guy wearing makeup and looking like a mess. It is the coolest thing in the world. And God, what a way to end this movie. Just like everything's erupting at the Paradise. People are killing each other. It's violence, it's destruction. Anyways, that's our show, folks. De Palma, man, that shit's bussin', dude. I fucking love it so much. Great music, great score. The way the camera moves and the sets that we have, where everything feels like a freaking Looney Tunes cartoon, or just like a trap door somewhere we can send somebody down. We're running through like a cylindrical hallway that's leading to like a big office desk. It's just insanity put on screen that looks beautiful with the best costuming I've seen in a while. My God. Phantom of the Paradise worked for me on so many levels, and I hope it will work for you too, because this is something else. This is truly something else, and it's amazing. It's amazing. So that is going to do it for this rendition of Movie Tales. Now, thank you all for watching this video. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And of course, I will catch you in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck.